This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Part 2. Prepare your foundation. As builders, you know that you must lay a proper foundation for your project to be successful. Likewise, you need a good foundation of beliefs to be successful leaders. The following 10 principles, if held as rock-solid beliefs, will ensure that you can move forward in an effective and successful way. No one would go into war without following tried-and-true military principles of war. Attacking our projects with the following principles is synonymous to attacking in war with training, helmets, equipment, and a proper chain of command and control. We can then attack in a steady, cleaned, planned, and controlled way without deviation. If we run our work sites without these principles in play, we have begun with haste, not artful attack. The following principles must be understood and followed in any circumstance on site for any project. Principle 1. Prioritize cleanliness, physical organization, and minimal inventory. Cleanliness, organization, and minimal inventory are the best indicators of a project's health and stability. If a project is not clean and organized, it's not going well. Why would an unclean project be considered acceptable? A clean job is a safe job. A clean job is a job managed well. If someone was lying on the ground at work, you would assume he was either sleeping on the job, hurt, or dead. You would investigate immediately. You'd try to wake him up, then check his breathing or his pulse, key indicators of whether something is wrong. Cleanliness, organization, and inventory levels do that for a project. All you must do to check the pulse on a project is walk around. If it's not clean, it is in trouble, and it is not creating a remarkable experience for you. On a dirty project, you can't assess safety, quality, morale, materials, flow, excellence, schedule, or anything else. Therefore, none of those things are being properly managed. If you want excellence, you will focus on cleanliness. Beware of people who do not understand the importance of cleanliness because they are displaying their mediocrity. There is never a situation that should not start with proper cleanliness, organization, and right-sized inventory levels. When it is not clean, we are at risk for trips, falls, and falling objects striking other workers. When it is not clean, we are not delivering on customer satisfaction. When it is not clean, workers are subconsciously being shown the standards of care they should take in their work. When it is not clean, we tell workers how they should treat us and the bathrooms on site. When it is not clean, people are not productive. A good worker is a clean worker. A good crew is a clean crew. A good foreman is a clean foreman. A good GC team is a clean GC team. That's it. If it's not clean, we have dysfunctional leadership in one form or fashion, and we do not have operational control. This is not to say it is easy. That is precisely the point. It's not. It's hard. That's why so many justify it. They do not have control, and they are embarrassed because of it. Then they justify. We should expect more, and you deserve better. A clean site is a stable site, and stable sites and systems are the only environments where improvements and respect can flourish. So how do we do it? We must expect more. First, decide to do it. We need tenacity and high standards. We always say if the leaders care about it, then it will get done. If you see the leader care, the rest of the workers on the project will care. If you see the lead superintendent picking up trash on site, you will see others pick up trash on site. So decide, act accordingly, and that's most of the battle won. Once you've decided, follow through and do not give yourself an out. Leave no room for retreat. Draw the line in the sand and let no one pass without consequences. The trick for this principle to work is to seek perfection. Perfection must be the standard and the set point of the project, and the superintendent must be set to perfect. A set point works just like a thermostat. If your thermostat is set to 74 degrees and you leave the door open for a while, the room may reduce in temperature for a moment, but it will return to 74 degrees when the door is shut. Additionally, if you cook in the oven and increase the room temperature to 80 degrees, it will quickly return to 74 when the oven is turned off. The same is true for set points on our projects. If the superintendent's set point is set to dirty, then it will always return to that state. It may be clean temporarily, but it will get dirty again. And if it gets really dirty, the superintendent may order it to be cleaned a little, but it will always return to just good enough. The set point must be set to perfection. If it is, the state of the site will always conform to a higher standard. Excess inventory carries with it some of the same issues as uncleanliness and disorganization. With too much inventory on site, things are in the way. This keeps you from being able to see what you need to see. It reduces the flow of work and causes project teams to become part-time moving companies instead of project workers. Materials should arrive at the project and go in place just before they are needed. There is little merit to bringing too much inventory to the site because it slows down production and uses up a valuable commodity, on-site space. Modeling expectations, a story from the field. You may be thinking that this is all blue sky dreaming, but when I began building the research laboratory in Tucson, Arizona, I was determined to have a clean project. I decided we would never have a composite cleanup crew. We would never have temporary laborers on site. And I meant it. If there was a mess on site, I politely asked the crews to stop all work and clean it up. To show the level of cleanliness I expected, I led by example, helping to pull items that did not belong into hallways or open spaces for removal so the space could be swept. The action sent a clear message, and I would bet that we had a job as close to perfection as you could ask for in the state of Arizona. Everyone commented on it. It was so satisfying. After a few weeks, it began to be self-sufficient too. Why? Because people's standards were higher. Their tolerance for messes decreased, and they became addicted to a clean site. I remember leaving for 2 weeks on PTO. Was the site still clean when I got back? You bet it was. They held one another accountable, and it was great. All of us as team members would help, remind, pick up trash, and pitch in. It became a project motto and a rallying cry. Clean and steady, we would say, and we said it in English and Spanish so everyone knew it. I believe it worked because we explained in daily huddles why we did it. It worked because workers on site are not animals, and they don't like being treated that way. It worked because we set the example. It worked because we cared. Principle 2, steadiness and flow. There is a popular game used to teach lean construction management called Parade of Trades. 7 participants sit together around a table. Each one represents a contractor for a different scope: concrete, steel, facade, and so on. There are 35 chips on the table that represent 35 pieces of work that must be completed to finish the project. The goal is to pass all these chips through to the last contractor as quickly as possible to simulate the completion of the work on the project. To complete their work, players roll a die and pass that number of chips to the person next to them. If someone rolls a 6 but only has 1 chip at their station, they can only send 1 chip forward. If they have 6 chips and roll a 1, they can only move 1 chip. When everybody has rolled, that represents 1 week of work, and the process is repeated for as many weeks necessary to move all the chips to the end. Often this game is played with different teams competing against each other to be the team to finish their work in the fewest number of weeks. Let's say at one event the red team got all 35 chips to the end in 26 turns. When you tally the number of men on site, you get 380. The maximum inventory at any one location was 10. So, in 26 weeks, the red team moved 35 units of work down the line with 380 people and an inventory level of 10 units per week. Pretty good. How did the blue team do? They completed the work in 21 weeks with 280 people and a maximum inventory buildup of just 5 in a given week. That means the blue team was 5 weeks ahead of schedule with 100 fewer people on site and half the material on site. How did they manage that? The tricky secret is that the red team had a regular 6-sided die with numbers ranging from 1 to 6. The blue team had a die that could only row 4s, 3s, and 2s. A week with the normal die would be something like 6, 5, 5, 2, 2, 1, 1, and would represent an attempt to move quickly at first, followed by a slowdown because of an interruption, and eventually ending up stuck. A week with the blue team's die might look like 4, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 2. This is synonymous with the concept of maintaining the flow of work. A flow has very little variation. When that variation is eliminated, the chips, or the work, could flow from one end to another without getting held up by the overwhelming rush from rolling a 6 or the painful crawl of a 1. What is the lesson here? Before making that explicit, let's reflect on the current state of our industry. We often hear people say, we need to get out of the ground fast when we can influence a fewer number of contractors. This is correct. We also hear that we need to be aggressive with complex and unknown areas and scopes on our projects. Sometimes, though, well-meaning folks will apply both of these concepts to the entire project and say things like, advance the schedule whenever possible, or I want all my materials here now, just bring it, or I am a pusher, keep pushing everything you can for the schedule. These people are trying to roll sixes in the parade of trades, which will later cause a mess of ones. Consider this. What if we told a superintendent to slow down a little and keep a steady flow at an even pace? What would he say? He might say we know absolutely nothing about construction and should go get another job. And yet the data shows he will finish in 26 weeks with 380 people on site with an inventory of 10, like the red team in Parade of Trades. This happens because people think movement equals production, which is not the case. All of this movement is actually waste. People start pushing and creating variation because it makes them feel good. It gives an impression of progress, but it requires twice as much material, 100 more people, and 5 more units of inventory in a week. What happens when a superintendent won't keep a flow in the schedule and hold dates? If you were a trade partner, how would you react? You would possibly keep more people on site and most definitely keep more materials on site. What happens when materials pile up on site? You guessed it. The production slows down. Everything slows down because part of our workforce is dedicated to managing, moving, inventorying, fixing, replacing, reordering, and organizing materials. Here is an example. Imagine a factory with an assembly line that produces a certain number of finished items every hour. The throughput is the rate at which the factory can process the raw materials into finished items. Say you have 4 machines in the factory that work together to produce the final finished project. Items need to be moved from one machine to the next machine for that machine to do its part in the process. The first machine can work on 4 items per hour, the second at 2 items per hour, and both the third and fourth machines produce 4 items per hour. What is the throughput of the system per hour? Did you say 2? This may surprise you, but it is likely going to be 1.25 or 1.5 finished items per hour. Consider what happens between the first and second machines. An inventory of materials begins to pile up. Manpower is then allocated to manage the inventory. Space in the factory diminishes. People who would otherwise be running machines are now managing the machines and the inventory. Workers down the line are waiting, and more resources are needed to manage materials on the third and fourth machines. Waste increases and the speed of the system decreases. Therefore, the throughput is 1.5 or fewer finished items per hour instead of 2. When anyone on site says, work everywhere at full efficiency, or keep pushing, or bring all the materials here now, or don't slow down anything, or I want workers working everywhere on site with no empty areas, all they are doing is slowing down the speed of production by increasing inventory and creating a lot of wasted jobs for people who would otherwise not be needed on site. Why? Because we needed flow, and what we got was variation. If this was the parade of trades, we needed to roll consistent 3s and 4s instead of 6s and 1s. The answer is not to push all the time, nor is it to flow all the time. The ideal is somewhere in between. Anything on site that can be made to flow should. If we are coming out of the ground or have a complex area on site with high-risk unknowns, those may be good reasons to push. The point is that pushing comes at a risk, and flow will always reduce materials, manpower, mistakes, and the time it takes to do something. So, if you can create flow, do it. If you must push an area, know the consequences, and do it only if you must put work in place early to vet mistakes early. But for no reason should you push everything on site and create variation. Don't roll 6s and 1s when you can roll 3s. The art of attack means artfully taking advantage of opportunities to plan, prepare, and move strategically. If you hear someone ask to create variation in schedules and flow, be skeptical. If you hear folks ask for an increase in inventory, give it a second look. We want to create stable environments, keep workers installing the work they planned for that day or week, and have a plan for everything. We want to create stable environments, keep workers installing the work they planned for the day or week, and have a plan for everything. Principle 3. Value planning to create stable environments. There is a commonly offered piece of advice to plan it first, build it right, and finish as you go. Everything we do must have a plan. We do not go into battle until we have a plan. In fact, we should not go into battle until we have plan A, B, and C. It is better to even have a plan A, B, C, D, and E. In the 33 Strategies of War, there is an entire section dedicated to planning. The author, Robert Greene, detailed how Napoleon would lay down on large maps that span from wall to wall on the floor in large rooms. He would study the terrain, the roads, the cities, and the strongholds of his enemies. He would go through all the scenarios in his mind and plan what he would do next. He would do this for days at a time. During his campaigns, he would have setbacks, delays, and unexpected events, but he would always regroup and advance. He always had a plan B. He knew no plan would endure engagement with the enemy. He knew things would change. And he had options to keep advancing and keep winning. Artful attacking is about planning and taking advantage of opportunities in a steady, intentional, and organized way. Patton famously said, "A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week." This rallying cry still indicates the need for planning. He did not say, attacking without a plan is better than a perfect plan next week. He said a good plan. And a good plan is one that has been researched to anticipate problems that might arise. We should have an A plan, along with plans B, C, D, and E waiting in the wings to deal with problems we can anticipate. We hope the old days of supers running around, pointing, directing, yelling, redirecting, and fighting fires are over. The team should not only follow the leader, they should follow the plan. When the leaders try to be a modern-day Moses on projects and do everything themselves with the plan in their head, they are leading their team to ruin, and they need to make a change, just like Moses did. When you hear the word attack, I want you to remove the mental image of people running into battle. Change that mental image to a scene of soldiers working together to execute a planned assault under the direction of a leader who has explained the plan to them ahead of time. We have to direct field crews the same way. Imagine yourself on your job site. At 2 p.m., you get a call from the designers who order a change to something that is in progress on site. Our first reaction would be to just call the foreman on the radio and tell them to stop or change, but that should not be the first response. We should consider first asking if we can let the crews finish out their day as planned and regroup before the next day. If the change to the work order is more urgent than that, we need to gather all available information, ensure that our preparation is complete, make sure that we have financial approval, and print documents showing the new change. To put it simply, we must develop a new plan. Then we can walk outside, ask the workers and the foreman to huddle up, review the new material, and give them the time they need to process and regroup. In no case should we have a knee-jerk reaction and tell people to just change and switch tasks. We need to take the time to develop the pre-task plan, acquire the right tools, and make sure everyone knows what to build. If we do not go to the workers with this information and give them time to change, we are mindlessly sending them into the battle with no strategy. It is not right and should not be done. Great leaders try to lock in the plan for next week. If they cannot do that, they should at least lock in the next day. If they cannot do that, we owe our workers an apology and a huddle to regroup. We only send people into battle or into work with a plan, period. The ideal job site is an environment where workers return home and report that they were bored at work. No fires, no accidents, no excitement, no treasure hunts, no drama, no unclean restrooms to complain about, nothing. Just stable, predictable, quality work day in and day out. There should have been a pre-construction meeting, a first in-place inspection, and a material inspection. Workers should have lift drawings for their work, on-time deliveries, tools and equipment, space, training, and time. They need proper bathrooms, a decent lunchroom, an effective communication system, and anything else that they need to put work in place. When do we make money as a company? When a worker is putting work in place. When do you, as a superintendent, make the company money? When a worker is putting work in place. When does a director make the company money? When a worker puts work in place. Our industry has focused for so long on trying to make project management systems more efficient when we should have been trying to make the worker's environment on site more efficient and stable through planning and operational control. Our focus has been off. We need to get it back where it belongs, on the worker on site. If we do not properly plan so we can provide a stable environment, we have work to do. Stable environments are hard to create, but must be our focus. We need to understand that mental capacity and mental discipline is an exhaustible resource. There are only so many good decisions a worker can make before he or she becomes mentally exhausted. And when a worker becomes exhausted, they are unsafe. On a chaotic site, a worker has to watch where they step, look up, step around trash and materials, watch out for the forklift, try to find the hammer, go look for materials, read 3 sets of drawings to figure out how to install something, remember to wear safety glasses, watch out for the leading edge, answer calls, text from home, on and on and on. There is no way that workers can focus and be effective when working amid chaos. Their discipline and mental focus are quickly exhausted. We want our team to show up for work, get clear instructions, pull their tools from a clean gang box, walk across a perfectly clean floor, walk in clearly delineated pathways, install per the lift drawing, be at lunch according to the posted rotation, and so on. If most of the site is fixed with stability and routines, the mind can focus its attention on being safe and on the work. That is why stable environments are so important. Waste cannot be allowed to drain precious mental resources from the focus of working safely on site. Nothing can be improved in chaos. Can you raise the bar without having set the bar? Can you increase the quality of a minimum standard without a minimum standard? The answer is no. Only in stable environments can anything be improved. Only when a minimum standard is in place and followed can the team take it to the next level. You cannot improve anything without stability. I often hear people ask, why would we advocate for more meetings on site? Aren't we trying to be lean? Aren't we trying to be more efficient? By holding meetings on site, we are conveying the plan and making sure everyone has bought into it in an effort to create a stable environment. We do that by taking ourselves out of our comfort zone so that workers can settle into their comfort zone. We deal with a little more sacrifice and effort so they can do what they do best. Principle 4. Everything good thrives in accountability. Have you ever been in a situation where you find workers behaving unsafely or unprofessionally? When you step in and talk to them, you often find that they did not know what the expectations were. Surely we have all experienced this. If they are telling the truth, and we give them the benefit of the doubt, then they cannot be held accountable for something they did not know. But if the superintendent has communicated with them at their level of understanding, then they can be held to a proper level of accountability. Everything good thrives in accountability, openness, and teamwork. Patrick Lencioni wrote several books about team building and management. In 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, he presents a formula for building and maintaining a team. The steps he lays out are building trust, engaging in healthy conflict, setting goals together, holding each other accountable, and performing as a team. The way we can judge if we are living up to this model is by assessing our workers' performance. A team will not perform if they do not have accountability based on team goals that are formed in trust and grounded on everyone weighing in and buying in. Do you hold your trades accountable? If the answer is no, then you have room to improve as a leader. Do you hold your team accountable to perform according to team goals? If not, it is likely you do not trust each other. Performance equals accountability to goals the team sets together based on buy-in and trust. Thankfully, it is that simple. We all get too hung up on thinking someone is nice or mean or whether someone has the right to tell us something based on whether they are our boss or not. We decide whether we should listen to people based on these assumptions and judgments. This is not a good way to look at things. There is no nice or mean when it comes to accountability. There are such things as nice or mean in the way that we deliver a message, and obviously, we should always deliver instruction and feedback in a safe and healthy manner. But the truth is that accountability is respect. It is kindness. It just needs to be conveyed in a respectful manner. As a leader, you need to consider how to convey information about expectations and safety in a way that shows respect and appreciation for your team. It may take practice, but we are all accountable to each other as a part of the team, and we should be modeling respectful behavior for our team. All members of our team have the right to say something in a respectful manner. There should be no worries about who is the boss or not the boss, and whether what we are saying will be viewed as being nice or not nice. When it comes to accountability for safety and performance, everyone should feel empowered to speak up. Hopefully, even new employees feel that they have the right to call out the directors on a team if they see a reason. If this is the culture, the concept of a team is very powerful. This concept might be hard for some superintendents to swallow, but you are already a member of a team and therefore accountable to a team. Consider extending the same level of respect and accountability expected of you from your management team to your team of workers. There will be many good people on your team who will not feel comfortable calling someone out. There are many people who do not like conflict. What do you do in that case? It takes practice. If you see someone who needs to be corrected, speak with that person directly and respectfully about the proper expectation for their behavior. If someone comes to you with the team members failing, encourage a face-to-face interaction between the two parties. As a supervisor, you will act not as muscle to back up only one side of what happened, but as moderator. Thank the one team member for bringing the issue up, ask the other to behave differently in the future, and then thank them for listening. If you observe a team member knowingly enable another team member to act dangerously, call them out for not speaking up and ask them to tell the harmful person how they should act. You must have the courage to practice difficult communications and reinforce your team members' practice by showing that you approve workers respectfully correcting each other. We must care enough to do what is right and leverage the power of the team to do it. You cannot watch every member of your team at all times. Our workers need to feel empowered to identify behavior that is dangerous, wasteful, or unprofessional because they know that they succeed or fail as a team. Delay of work due to an injury affects them as much or more as it affects the company. They need to be as invested in preventing bad behavior and waste as you are. No one on the job site should tolerate things that can lead to harm. Consider the idea that the culture of any organization is shaped by the worst behavior the leader is willing to tolerate. Does that sting? Does it ring true? If so, it's time to raise your expectations. Failing to cultivate team accountability for individuals following safety guidelines is a form of disrespect, plain and simple. Principle 5. Communicate for understanding. Communication is key for accountability, yet it is greatly misunderstood in the construction industry. Safety meetings, trade partner meetings, OAC meetings, and orientations have mostly become check the box, I told them type of meetings. Telling, and more telling. All telling and no understanding. It might make people feel better to hold these meetings, but they serve little purpose if the people in those meetings only take in 2 to 6% of the information presented. Consider the number of hours that wastes in a week. Let's say that in the course of a week, there are 2 orientations, 1 safety meeting, 1 trade partner meeting, 1 OAC, and 2 hours of other mass meeting interactions. That totals approximately 7 hours of meetings with telling as the primary focus. 7 times 60 minutes is 420 minutes. 6% of 420 minutes is 25.2 minutes. That is less than half an hour of effective communication from 7 hours of meeting time. Do you know anyone who would do 7 hours of work for half an hour return? Why do we accept that much wasted time in our project meetings? Perhaps because we are told to have the meetings but haven't learned how to run them effectively. Or we are confident in running a meeting but haven't yet learned how to communicate for understanding. Here are the measurements for communication. Do the workers understand what is being said? Did they pay attention? Do they speak the language in which the information was given? Ask yourself, how much of the plan do the workers in the field understand about your current project? How much do the foreman understand? How much of the safety orientation does every worker know and remember? How many of the safety topics do they remember? Do they remember the project rules? If you frankly consider the answers to these questions, you will likely find your workforce is far from perfect in these areas. Few people read or understand our P6 schedules, fewer folks remember anything from orientation, and no one can visualize a complex list. Most workers need to see things visually, with fewer words, more frequently in their native language. Communication should be for understanding, not telling. Consider honestly how much of the daily pre-task plan do the workers understand and remember during work? The answer is very little. No one, even the best of us, would read that much text and remember it. In our industry, most people in the trades are there because they did not like book learning. This is not meant to be degrading. Everyone has different skills and preferences. Thank God for them. But knowing that, Why would we expect them to read through and retain a long pre-task plan every day? Why are our plans not visual? Why are they not simpler? Why do we not focus more on having translations available? Why do we not push people to interact in meetings? Every worker should come on site every day and know what is going on, where to go, what materials to use, how to build it, and why it is important. And they should understand all the instructions they've been told. We have an obligation to get information and materials to our people. If that means we have to draw a picture to make the instructions easier to understand, then we do it. If we get creative, we can find ways to communicate effectively. Some suggestions are to test people after orientations, make visual schedules, draw the safety plan for the day, draw installation instructions, tell stories, and provide mock-ups. The challenge we all have is to get all communication to the point that it is understood by everyone. Easy? No. Possible? Mostly. Worth the effort? Absolutely. We must communicate for understanding in all we do. Principle 6. Hold respect for your people as your guiding principle. What should we remember on every project? Respect for people. That's why we do everything. We take care of the customer because we respect them, their staff, and their end users. We treat trades well by ensuring our work sites are clean and materials are in place when they are needed because we respect our trades' productivity. We provide adequate facilities, bathrooms, lunchrooms, and treat employees fairly because we respect them. We do not tolerate safety violations because we respect people's lives and the well-being of their families. Who or what do you respect most in your life? Some people might answer that they respect a few specific individuals. Some people respect money. Some respect their own careers, and some respect their families. There's nothing wrong with any of these approaches. There is, however, an answer that ultimately encompasses all these things, and that is to respect humanity, to respect people, everyone. This attitude is a game changer at the workplace because it puts every aspect of our work into focus. There is no philosophical question about anything on site that cannot be successfully answered with the concept of respect for people. Ask yourself the following questions. Why do we advocate having nice bathrooms on site? Why do we encourage open and collaborative communication? Why do we sometimes put out misters where workers are waiting to haul materials in the Arizona summers? Why do we host barbecues? Why do we keep things clean? Why do we try to make sure all contractors on site make money? Why do we not tolerate bad behavior? Respect for people should be the priority that motivates us. If someone does not understand that, then they may be confused about why we are so nice about maintaining our bathrooms, but appear mean when it comes to an intolerance for bad behavior. We have nice bathrooms because we respect people, and we do not tolerate unsafe behavior because we respect people. Additionally, any effort you make as a leader will be more difficult if you are not motivated by respect. If you are punishing people to punish them, then you will succeed in building resentment rather than bringing about the needed change. If you administer consequences to someone with the goal of keeping people safe, then your manner will reflect that and you will inspire effective change. How do we demonstrate respect for people? We respect people when we keep the job site perfectly clean and organized. We respect people when we remove waste and wasted effort. We respect people when everyone is safe and behaves professionally. We respect people when they are able to care for their families in a balanced and blended way. We respect people when we protect their finances. And we respect people when we communicate. If we do not do these things, we have work to do. If we create positive experiences for our folks on site, that helps us create remarkable experiences for our primary customers, as well as the neighbors of the project site, the workers' families, our trade partners, and the end users. We have an obligation to take care of all of these groups of people who are affected by our organization. There is little success in taking care of one of these groups at the expense of others. This kind of thinking is challenging and requires us to be at the top of our gameplay. We are building people who build things for people. It is not about personal control, power, or title. Everything we do is to elevate and to respect those around us. This giver mentality will change your life and career. Principle 7. Be a team player. The builder has an obligation to create positive experiences for people. The primary way to do this is to be a great team player. Unfortunately, the position of a builder and leader on the project can be a stressful and overwhelming position. We cannot let that push us into an unhealthy mental state that causes us to treat others badly. General George S. Patton is known for many things, including his military success, but he's also known for the fact that he was severely reprimanded for slapping 2 soldiers he thought were cowards. Yes, he was arguably the most skilled military general in American history, but his temperament may have kept him from reaching his full potential as a leader. If it was not for his bad behavior and inability to act as a team player in certain situations, he would undoubtedly have been even more successful in combat against the Nazis. Instead, he was put in a proverbial doghouse for extended periods of time to humble and correct him. How many lives were lost because of his inability to control himself? How many lost opportunities were there because he had to be in timeout? We may never know. What we do know is that he was passed up for promotions and assignments because of it. We also know General Eisenhower would not relieve him because he was too valuable to the cause and considered indispensable. Many builders in our industry, and especially superintendents, find themselves behaving similarly. They act out, yell, demean, say insulting and harassing things, limit their potential, yet are still considered too indispensable to let go. This is a very unfortunate situation that causes frustrating delays to the builder's career advancement and collateral damage to the project. This is all unnecessary. It is detrimental to the project to have inappropriate behavior from the star players. Project leaders must be able to direct the project in a respectful, professional way. Some superintendents seem to believe that running a site is like running a military campaign, and they develop a leadership style akin to Patton's, relying on the force of their temper to intimidate others into action. Is it possible to go to war at work and still be effective leaders? Only with a change in attitude. There is no need to introduce unhealthy conflict to combat waste and variation. Likewise, your team may be meeting their goals out of fear of your wrath, but they will perform even better if you have shown that you properly maintain the flow of materials and work and are clear with your communication and uphold your high expectations. You can gather your team, drive forward, administer consequences, and attack the task, all without fighting. If you find yourself scoffing at this idea, it's probably because you have room to improve. First, read and then reread Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book will teach you the skills you need to work with people to accomplish team goals. Second, read Switch, How to Change Things When Change is Hard by Chip and Dan Heath. And third, find a way to catch yourself when you feel yourself about to engage in a fight. Some can carry an object around in their pocket that reminds them of who they are in their nobler moments. Some ask their team to call them out when they see their anger rising. Some simply take a break so that they can step away from the situation and regroup. Whatever you do, do not lose your temper, say inappropriate things, or fly off the handle. If you do that, you have lost. You will suffer the consequences of your own making. Whatever your approach becomes, remember the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. The best generals win the war without fighting, just as the best leaders get the most out of their team without conflict. Learn from Patton's example. No matter how important you think you are, you cannot slap a soldier. Remember that anger is most often rooted in insecurity or fear. We need to address those fears by communicating openly with our team. Usually, a superintendent becomes angry because he or she fears the loss of control or lack of success on the project. This comes from trying to carry the burden of the project alone. If instead, that superintendent would be transparent about the issues that are creating the feeling that the project is headed out of control, the load could be shared and the fears could be alleviated. Everyone has problems. Every project has problems. No person achieves 100% of their potential if they try to stand alone. We must get past our insecurities about asking for help, because a top player is not one who functions alone, but is instead one who functions well as a self-starter with the support of their team. The great builder is one who leverages the strengths of others and, in turn, contributes his or her strengths toward the success of others. That is how we all function at our maximum potential. That kind of leader is one whom everyone will want to work with and whom everyone will follow. Principle 8. Be a builder who learns from good experiences. The best builders are always learning. Those who are questionable are the ones who act like they are a victim of circumstance on their projects and always have excuses for why they do not go well. We need people who will not allow themselves to be the victim of circumstance. Not only is this important in terms of performance, but it is also crucial that our people have good experiences and successful projects so they do not get comfortable with mediocrity. That would be the greatest failure. It is one thing to have a project go wrong from time to time. Sometimes that truly is beyond our control. It is quite another thing to have all the project team members leave a bad project thinking that the situation is normal or acceptable. A common saying is that we are successful when we learn from our failures. But we also learn just as much, if not more, from our successes. When we have a good experience, we should take the time to reflect on it and identify the steps necessary to repeat it. It has been said that practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, and that is true. Good builders are not good builders just because they build. They are good builders because they have experienced success and can replicate it. They deliver results. When something starts to go wrong, they either take charge to fix it or raise their hands high and long until they can get the help to fix it. We discussed mental set points when we talked about job site cleanliness and the flow of materials. The message was that people will be as successful at maintaining cleanliness and inventory levels as they have decided to be. Whether they face success or setback, their job site cleanliness and control of inventory will once again meet the expectations they have set for themselves. The inner standard for good experience is also set by a mental set point. Successful superintendents have their mental set point positioned at predictable, organized, and successful. You may hear these people say, "What do you mean if this project is successful? It is going to be successful. We are here, aren't we? It is our decision. Of course we will be successful." People with that outlook just do not know any other way. We need to remember that we control almost every aspect of a project. We have access to the skills and materials we need to fix problems as they arise. When we find the quality of our work experience moving away from our set point, we shouldn't waste time complaining. We should act to fix things and bring the quality of the experience back to the level that we expect. If you do not have a high set point for excellence, start actively paying attention to the amount of waste, failure, and mediocrity on your projects. Notice it and put a stop to it when you see it. Raise your set point. Let yourself be annoyed by it and go fix it. Implement change immediately. Get creative if you must. Say to yourself, "If no one will fix this, damn it, I will." Then go and fix it and brag about your job well done so others realize they need to raise their own set points. When you find yourself consistently having good experiences at work, don't get complacent. A builder who is constantly learning is priceless. Those who do not tour other projects, learn from other people, or share lessons learned are missing an opportunity to be better, safer, more successful, and more helpful as a team player. Continual learning makes the professional. Strong builders read books and trade publications to learn new information and improve their standards for best practices. They have insight into their weaknesses and reach out to mentors for help. Strong builders see problems and try to fix them with all the resources available to them. These builders visit other projects, learn from other teams, and open their projects for others to learn from them. Principle 9. Deliver results without excuse. We cannot make excuses. We need to see things as they really are and deal with them efficiently to deliver the expected results. Results take care of our clients and the company. Results get our people home safely to their families. No one cares about excuses, and we must not excuse the signs of a project that is in trouble. The previous principles are all intended to provide you a new framework of thinking to avoid pitfalls into which unsuccessful people have fallen. This foundation for success is well known to us, and it is time we built upon that foundation and discard old and unsuccessful practices and beliefs. The principle of delivering results is to not make excuses. We need to know what is not okay and move forward in a way that corrects it. Here are a few things we should not excuse or tolerate. Bad worker morale. This is most likely the result of our workers not feeling respected. We need to show our respect by providing them with the tools and materials they need, proper bathroom and break facilities, and clear, respectful communication. Our workforce will produce work at a level that matches their morale. Lack of safety. There are no gold ribbons for trying with safety. Lives literally depend on superintendents making sure that safety protocols are always followed. Uncleanliness. Our projects should be nearly perfectly clean. Morale, safety, and project costs are all affected by the cleanliness of our project sites. If we are off track, we need to clean up. Not being clean is a sign of lax leadership. Raise your set point and hold everyone accountable. Lack of organization. No one can manage a project effectively when it is mired in chaos. The days of the superintendent running around putting out metaphorical fires caused by disorganization are over. Create and clearly deliver the plan for your work site and schedule and stick with it. Insufficient communication. We can no longer keep people in the dark. We need to use effective methods to communicate information to everyone on site. When you prepare for a meeting, huddle, practice, form, or inspection, ask yourself if the information is formatted and communicated in a way that the recipients can understand. Everyone on site should see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group. This can only come through good communication. Unbalanced lives and poor health. We need to stop paying for project needs with the health and mental wellness of our workers and their families. We need to send people home when necessary. We need people to go to their doctor's appointments. We need workers coaching their kids' basketball teams. We need to stop tolerating this unbalance. No success on the project can compensate for the damage done to marriages, children, health, or mental wellness. There is no excuse to run a team into the ground or take them out of balance. Principle 10. Strive for perfection. The principles described in the previous sections can seem overwhelming and impossible, unnecessary, or over the top. They are not. They are all possible. The problem is not that we are unable to clean, organize, and stabilize our projects. The problem comes because we do not have clean, organized, and stabilized minds and hearts. We need people striving for perfection. If we expect and strive for anything but perfection, we will get mediocrity. Only when people know that we expect perfection will they get out of the normal, mediocre, and disgusting state of our industry. Think we're being a little judgmental? We don't see it that way. We are all on the same team. We are at war with waste. It is up to us all to act against it. It is not you against us. You have the right to expect more, and you should. You are in a professional position and have every right to expect high standards. Construction work as an industry can be disgusting, and we need to change that. If you do not want to change it for yourself, change it for others. We are here to challenge you to be excellent. We are asking you to take a stand and make a difference for the safety and well-being of the workers we are all responsible for. You can do it, but it will only happen as you strive for perfection. Toyota is more profitable and successful than any other car company in the world because they expect excellence. Japanese culture as a whole already emphasizes the importance of striving for excellence, and Toyota's corporate culture was able to channel that tendency into an efficient workforce that aims for excellence. We need to buck the trend to be satisfied with mediocrity and create a culture of striving for perfection. Principle 11. Muda, muri, and mura. Muda, muri, and mura are words that represent the concepts of waste, overburden, and unevenness. Muda means wastefulness. It can be actual waste on a project site, but it can also be non-value added work in a process. These non-value add activities are not needed for the customer experience or to deliver the project to the customer successfully. Waste can be rework, unnecessary movement or materials, or any other activity that is not needed for us to deliver value to the customer. There are 8 categories of waste: transportation, motion, excess inventory, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, defects, and not using the wisdom of the team. Muri means overburden or excess overburden. This happens when workers are made to work too fast, or a floor is stocked with too much materials, or when a project team has to process too much paperwork. Overburden occurs when a resource is utilized over 100% of its reasonable capacity. Mura means unevenness, non-uniformity, or irregularity. This, in construction, can be described as variation in the flow of work or the variation in the resources available to do the work. Mura causes waste because it causes variation. For example, if there is an unevenness in the delivery of materials to a project site, that may cause excess inventory or waiting, which are ultimately waste. It is a best practice for a superintendent to have a perch or a lookout from which he or she can observe the movement of the project and seek out the 8 wastes in construction anywhere they can be found. Ohno circles drawn on the ground where the leader can stand in vigilance to watch operations, may be utilized. Project walks can also help. If you can put observation and scrutiny into careful practice, you will be able to identify ways to systematically remove muda, muri, and mura on a daily basis. Projects do not only fail because of project management, finances, administrative burdens, and outside external conditions. Projects fail when they are subject to waste, overburden, and unevenness. A master builder should always anticipate these 3 imperfections on the project and take immediate action to eliminate waste, overburden, and unevenness through the standard systems. It is the duty of the project superintendent to create stable environments where all workers can succeed. This is the key to productivity and efficiency among all systems on the project site.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.